Emma Carlisle sat quietly in the corner of her luxurious living room, swirling a glass of wine between her fingers. No one in this room knew that she was the one who had bought out the company they all worked for, step by step, layer by layer, through anonymous investment funds. She had sat through countless evenings like this, surrounded by self-satisfied men in expensive suits, men who clustered around her husband, Nathan Pierce, Vice President of Operations at Synergy Dynamics. "Ha, Emma, still haven't found a job yet?" A mocking voice rang out from across the room. It was Michael from marketing, his wine glass swaying in his hand as he cast a pitying glance in her direction. Nathan smirked, raising the glass of expensive scotch that she had bought for him. "She should try applying at the coffee shop down the street. I heard they're hiring baristas," he joked, making the entire group burst into laughter. Emma remained silent, her eyes calmly observing them through the swirling wine in her glass. They thought she was a useless, failing wife. They had no idea that she was the one who had hired every single one of them, and tomorrow she would personally fire them. Nathan continued, loosening his tie with a smug grin. "Remember when Emma tried interviewing at Synergy? God, I wish I could have seen that disaster." What he didn't know was that the interview had never been an attempt to get a job. It had been a covert evaluation of Synergy's management, carefully orchestrated by her long before. Beneath the gleaming marble table, Emma's phone vibrated with a message from Alex, her head of legal affairs. "Everything is ready. Tomorrow's board meeting is confirmed." A faint smile played on her lips. Tomorrow, when these men walked into the office, they would no longer be the ones in power. Emma Carlisle left the living room, the echoes of laughter still ringing behind her. She strode down the long hallway, the sharp click of her heels tapping rhythmically against the marble floor. Outside, the night sky stretched endlessly, but she didn't need to look. Everything she needed to see was right in front of her. Her office was on the second floor, the dark wooden door closing silently behind her as she stepped inside. No one, not even Nathan, knew that behind the bookshelf lay the true command center of Synergy Dynamics. Emma pressed a hidden panel on the shelf. A soft click sounded, and the wooden wall slid aside, revealing a state-of-the-art control room. 3 massive screens displaying real-time data. Every operation within Synergy Dynamics unfolding before her eyes. She removed the delicate bracelet from her wrist, a gift from Nathan in their first year of marriage, and set it on the desk. Once a symbol of love, it was now nothing more than a hollow reminder of a man who had never truly understood her. Her phone vibrated again. A message from Alex flashed across the screen. "The board has confirmed. The meeting is set. Everything is ready." Emma smiled, scrolling through the files of those who would be eliminated by morning. Each name appeared alongside the long list of violations she had been quietly compiling over the past year. She had been playing this game for a long time. For 8 years, Nathan believed he had built his career from nothing, when in reality, she had laid the very foundation he walked on. He thought he was the one in control, when in truth, everything he had was in her hands. But there was one thing Nathan would never know. It wasn't the company she had mistakenly married into. It was him. He was the only mistake. Emma's gaze locked onto the security feed, streaming live from Nathan's office. He was laughing, toasting his glass, completely oblivious to the fact that by tomorrow morning he would be kicked out of the very chair he believed was untouchable. She stood, adjusting her blazer, her eyes flashing with cold determination. Tomorrow they would finally learn who Emma Carlisle truly was. 6:30 a.m. Emma Carlisle stepped into Synergy Dynamics through the employee entrance, the one meant for lower-level staff, not the grand front doors that Nathan and his cohorts waltzed through every day. Today, she wasn't arriving as a disregarded wife. Today, she was walking in as the true owner of this company. She wore a simple navy blue suit, understated but perfectly tailored, a deliberate choice. She didn't want to draw attention to herself. Not yet. Sarah, her loyal right hand, was waiting in the basement security office. "Everything is in place," she murmured, handing Emma an access badge. "My interview with HR?" Emma asked, a slight smirk forming at the corner of her lips. 9 a.m., right on schedule. And at that exact time, Nathan and his team will be in their morning meeting. Emma flipped the badge in her hand. Angela Morris, job applicant. This fake identity had been registered weeks ago, along with a carefully crafted resume designed to ensure she would be rejected immediately. They wouldn't recognize her. They wouldn't bother looking closely, because to them, failures weren't worth remembering. She sat in HR's waiting area, a copy of Synergy Dynamics company magazine in hand, hiding the amused glint in her eyes. She had designed every detail of this company, but now she would experience it from an outsider's perspective, just to see how badly Nathan and his team had ruined it. 8:45 a.m. Nathan strode into the main lobby, his expensive suit pressed to perfection, his posture exuding confidence as if the entire world belonged to him. He didn't even glance at her. Emma lowered her head, pretending to read, but through the reflection in the glass, her eyes tracked him. He was texting, and within seconds, every phone in the HR department lit up simultaneously. Nathan had spotted her, and just as quickly, he had sent a mocking message to his colleagues about his wife's pathetic job application. "A fool," Sarah texted. "They're laughing about you in the meeting room." Emma slowly folded the magazine, her expression unreadable. Let them laugh now, because in less than an hour, they would have nothing left to laugh about. 9:30 a.m. Emma Carlisle stepped out of her HR interview, maintaining a perfectly crafted look of disappointment. The interview had gone exactly as she expected. Condescension, pitying glances, hollow questions, filled with subtle implications that she wasn't good enough. She had pretended to be nervous, pretended to be hopeful, pretended to wait for an opportunity they had never intended to give her. And at that very moment, Nathan and his cronies were laughing about her pathetic failure in their top-floor conference room. They thought they had won. 10 a.m. Emma walked into the restroom, heading straight for the last stall. Inside, a discreet black bag had been placed there earlier by Sarah. She removed the light blue suit, replacing it with a flawlessly tailored black ensemble, paired with gleaming Louboutin heels. Finally, she pinned the CEO badge of Synergy Dynamics onto her lapel, a title she had never worn publicly. A deep breath, a small tap on the mirror. Emma's heels struck the marble floor in perfect rhythm as she approached the executive boardroom. Inside, Nathan and his cronies laughed over their latest big deals, oblivious that this would be their final meeting. She stepped through the doorway. Silence. Nathan turned, his smirk vanishing as his eyes locked onto hers. His world crumbled in that instant. Emma placed a thick folder on the table, her voice smooth, cutting. "I am Emma Carlisle, your real CEO. All this time, I have silently observed and gathered complete evidence of your crimes. Thank you for underestimating me. It made my job much easier. And as of this moment, you're all fired." A heavy stillness suffocated the room. Nathan went pale. Michael stammered. You can't do this. I've been here for 10 years. Emma's gaze sliced through him. 10 years of harassment, embezzlement, and insider trading. Every crime, every fraud. You're already under SEC investigation. Michael turned ghost white. Nathan clenched his fists, forcing himself to remain composed. "What are you doing, Emma?" His voice was hoarse. "We're husband and wife. You can't destroy me like this." Emma tilted her head, her gaze cutting straight through him. "I'm not destroying you, Nathan. You did that yourself." She stood up, walking slowly toward the table, placing both hands firmly on the surface as she leaned forward. "For years, you treated me like a failure. You mocked me in front of your friends, paraded around with the wealth you thought was yours." Her voice was soft, but carried the weight of absolute authority. "Everything you have, Nathan, was always mine." His mouth opened as if to argue, But before he could speak, the conference room doors swung open. 2 security officers stepped inside, their expressions unreadable. Sarah, Emma's ever-loyal right hand, followed closely behind. Their employee badges have been deactivated, she reported smoothly. Their system access is revoked. It is erasing all their credentials as we speak. A sharp ding echoed through the room. Each man's phone lighting up with the same email. Your employment at Synergy Dynamics has been terminated effective immediately. Please vacate the premises within 15 minutes. Michael shot up from his chair, panic spreading across his face. You can't do this. I'll sue you. Emma smirked. You can try, but I suggest you review the misconduct termination clause in your contract before you waste more money on a lawyer. Nathan still hadn't moved. His eyes locked onto Emma's, filled with hatred and fear. Why? He whispered. Emma smiled, slow and deliberate. Because I've been waiting for this moment for a very, very long time. The 2 security officers stepped forward, gesturing for them to stand. A few muttered protests, but no one dared to resist. Nathan was the last to rise. Before leaving the conference room, he turned to look at Emma one final time, his voice low and cold. You're going to regret this. Emma folded her arms, tilting her head slightly as she met his gaze. No, Nathan. The one who will regret this is you. He stepped out, and the door shut behind him. Emma turned to Sarah, inhaling deeply. Status update. Sarah handed her a tablet. The news is spreading fast. The company is already reacting. The PR team has the official statement ready. Emma nodded, glancing out the massive floor-to-ceiling window. Below, she could see Nathan's group standing outside, disoriented, desperately making phone calls, searching for an escape that no longer existed. She took a slow sip of coffee, listening to the incessant buzzing of phones around the conference table. The purge had sent shockwaves through Synergy Dynamics. Employees, who had once been bullied by Nathan's circle, were whispering in the hallways. Internal chat messages flooded with a mix of shock and satisfaction. Synergy Dynamics had just experienced a reckoning, and this was only the beginning. Sarah stepped beside her, handing over a thick folder. You're going to want to see this. Emma flipped it open. Images and detailed reports filled her vision. Irrefutable proof of Nathan's affair with Sophie Langford, his personal assistant. Emma exhaled a quiet laugh, not surprised in the slightest. He hadn't just underestimated her in business, he had betrayed her in their marriage. Where is she? Emma asked, flipping through photos of Nathan and Sophie, hand in hand, at an extravagant resort. One that Emma had paid for. Sarah smirked. I just called her up to the office. She thinks she's about to get a promotion. Emma tossed the folder onto the table, her eyes gleaming with a dangerous sharpness. Good, send her in. Sophie Langford strode in, her heels clicking sharply against the hardwood floor. She wore a form-fitting designer dress, her golden hair gleaming under the office lights. Her confidence was palpable, too much confidence. You called for me, Emma, Sophie said, masking her smirk behind a polite expression. Emma folded her arms, leaning casually against the desk, studying her like a cat toying with its prey. I heard you think you're about to get a promotion. Sophie shrugged. Nathan told me that once he took over the company, I'd be promoted to Chief Financial Officer. Emma chuckled, a cold, sharp laugh, dripping with amusement. Is that so? She picked up a thick folder and tossed it onto the table in front of Sophie. Would you like to review your career plans? Sophie glanced down at the photos, her and Nathan embracing on the beach, dining at lavish restaurants, slipping into luxury hotel suites. The color drained from her face. Emma leaned forward slightly, her voice soft but carrying an undeniable authority. Did you really think I didn't know, Sophie? That Nathan could actually hide this from me? Sophie stammered. I didn't. Emma straightened up, walking slowly around the desk. Let me be clear. Nathan is fired. His accounts are frozen. And you? You're not even qualified to be an assistant in this company anymore." Sophie paled. "But, no buts." Emma's voice cut through the room, cold and final. "Your name, your record, your involvement. Every major firm in this industry will know exactly who you are and what you've done." Turning away, she picked up her phone. "Security. Escort Ms. Langford out of the building. Immediately." Through the window, Nathan was still outside, frantically making calls, unaware that all his personal assets had been frozen. Sarah glanced at her phone, a smirk forming on her lips. "Just in." Nathan tried to withdraw money, but his accounts are locked per his contract clauses and corporate debt liabilities. Emma sank into her chair, crossing her legs, swirling the wine glass in her hand. "Perfect," she murmured. Her phone buzzed, a message from her private attorney. "The divorce papers have been filed. Nathan has 48 hours to vacate the house. You know, the one you paid for." Emma set the glass down, her eyes reflecting the glittering city lights. Nathan had lost everything: his job, his reputation, his wealth, and the lavish lifestyle he thought belonged to him. And Emma, she hadn't just taken back what was hers, she had rebuilt it in a way that no one could ever take from her again. She picked up her phone and sent a text to Sarah. "Prepare the company-wide announcement. A new era of synergy dynamics begins today." With a final satisfied smile, Emma stepped out of her office, leaving behind nothing but the wreckage of those who had underestimated her. Emma Carlisle's journey teaches us that patience, intelligence, and self-control are the most powerful weapons. Never underestimate others. Nathan and his allies dismissed Emma, but their arrogance became their downfall. In life, the people you look down on today might control your fate tomorrow. Power lies in action, not words. Emma never argued or defended herself. She quietly built her strategy and waited for the perfect moment to strike. Sometimes, patience is the key to victory. Control the game, don't be a pawn. If you don't take control of your own destiny, someone else will do it for you. Always hold your strongest card until the right moment. Success is the best revenge. No bitterness, no hatred, just undeniable triumph. Prove your worth by rising so high that those who doubted you can never reach your level again. Work in silence and let your success speak for itself. If you enjoy deep, emotional, and meaningful stories like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new update. Your support is the motivation that drives us to keep bringing you powerful stories. Once again, thank you for being here, and see you in the next story.